to Square Bootcamp. Happy Thursday to you. This is the last one that we're doing for the month of August, but don't cry. Wipe it away. Come on, wipe it away. Thank you. We got more Square Bootcamp happening in the month of September every single Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Watch your email tomorrow. You're going to get an email from our marketing department. In that email, it's going to have the recordings from this week's Toolbox Tuesday. It's going to have the recording from this session that we're doing right now. And in that email, you know what's at the very bottom? Come here, I'll tell you. Right at the very bottom, there's a link. You click on it and you can register for next week's Square Bootcamp. You're welcome. So, love having you here. I see we got some new faces on here. Good to see you on the call. Welcome aboard. One of the things that I just want to share very quickly for some of our folks that are brand spanking new and haven't been to one of these as of yet, one of the things that I just want to point out very quickly is that with Square Bootcamp, what we're doing is we're teaching all of our sales agents how to effectively utilize their Square demo accounts. Now, if you have not created a Square demo account as of yet, super duper easy. All you've got to do is go to square.paycompass.com. One more time, square.paycompass.com, and just create a fictitious account for yourself. Once you create that account, send an email to sales@paycompass.com and just say, hey, I created an account. Give them the name of the account that you created, like the name of the business that you use, provide the email address that you use, just provide the basic information to that team and ask them, say, please, pretty please, could you do me a big favor? Can you convert my account into a demo account? I'd be more than happy to get that set up for you. Once they set up your demo account, you are free to go out and present to a wide range of different merchants in your neighborhood. As always, whenever we do Square Bootcamp, one of the things that I do like to point out is that this is all about teaching you how to use your Square demo account. If you do have questions in regards to pricing, hey, how do I set up dual pricing on Square? Hey, how do I set up surcharging on Square? We don't take those questions on these calls, okay? And the reason being, focus on your demo account, helping you to get up and running with your demo account. However, if you do have questions when it comes to pricing, reach out to either your local regional sales director, or you can send an email to sales@paycompass.com and just let them know that you've got a question regarding pricing. So what we're going to do today is we're going to present content for just about 40-45 minutes throughout the entire session. As you have questions, go ahead and put your questions into the chat. Just know that once we are done presenting content, that's where we're going to open it up to you, the sales agent, and you can come off mute. You can ask your questions. We'll, excuse me, be more than happy to provide the guidance that you need. Now, today's topic, this is part 6. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? We've been doing this for 6 weeks now. Next week will be week 7. And you know what that means? That's right, it's September and it'll be pumpkin spice season. But we'll talk about that later. Anyways, this is part 6. Today, what we're going to be covering is items, types, and categories. It'll all make sense in just a little bit. Excuse me, folks. I might have had lunch before I jumped on this call, and I can just kind of feel something in my throat, so just kind of bear with me here a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into, matter of fact, let me get this moved forward here. I know, right? Seasoned professional. Who hired this guy? Good Lord. Boom. There we go. All right. So today's objectives, we're going to talk about item types and item settings. We're going to go through inventory tracking. We're going to define the difference between a variation and a modifier, okay? Because when you're in the Square portal on the back end, you can do variations, you can do modifiers. We're going to define the difference between the two. We're going to talk about combos. You can set up combos on the back end of your Square account. You can also set up packages to be sold. However, is there a difference between the two? Actually, there is. I want to show you the difference. We're going to talk about pre-orders, categories versus menus, locations versus channels, and last but not least, we're going to wrap things up with a very cool feature in Square that's called Managerbot. Week after week, month after month, you're going to hear us sing the praises of Managerbot. It is an AI tool on the back end of Square. I promise you, it is chef's kiss. All right. But I can't do this by myself. I can't. Nope. I'm just the guy that sits and plays music and chokes on his lunch. Nope. I got to make sure that I bring in my Square expert. Ladies and gentlemen, give some love to our resident Square expert, Mr. John Marshall. Hey, John.
Scott, good afternoon. Yeah, I just want to say, we started off the boot camp sort of with high level topics to get everybody excited about what can be the outcomes. So as each week goes on, we're doing a deeper dive into the nitty-gritty details that really control how those outcomes happen. This week, obviously, we're going into items, types, and settings. Last week, we talked about services. So we're going to give you a couple neat little hacks and tricks that we found along the way. But again, just be patient with us. There's a lot of granular detail here, but with the granular detail comes the ability to solve problems for your prospects. So that's sort of our agenda for today. I'm going to switch back and forth between my portal and my iPad. I also want to do a shout out, Scott. In Navigo, we have menu and item database templates for different verticals. I encourage you to read the how-to document attached because there is a curveball in there. You need to enter the modifiers yourself before you import the items so they link up, right? It's all documented in there, but there's a services template, a retail template, and I think it's a QSR food template, right? So those are pre-built. Those include items that are preset, but today we're going to talk about doing that yourself and all of the capabilities that can be unlocked. So that's what we have in store for you.
Shall I
Scott,
shall I stop sharing my screen, sir?
that would be fine, and I can start sharing mine.
All right, so let me stop sharing mine. Let me close this down. Boop. And like we said, friends, for the most part, any questions that you got while we're presenting content, you can go ahead and get those typed into the chat. But just know that once we do wrap up today's content at the very end, you can come right off mute, ask your questions. More than happy to get those answered for you. As John alluded to, we've done previous sessions. You can always go to the Pay Compass YouTube channel. You can see all of the previous sessions that we've done. To tie into what John just shared, that in Navigo, there are templates that you can download so you can start to build out your demo account. If you want to watch that video regarding how to build your demo account, I highly, highly recommend you look for that Toolbox Tuesday session, not Square Bootcamp. I'm recommending that you go to a Toolbox Tuesday session, Square, how to build your demo account. We had a gentleman named Matt Piva from Square that joined us. He gave a very nice walkthrough in regards to how to set up your demo accounts. That would be a great starting point for any of you. But as always, the resident Square expert is on the call. I know for a fact he'd be more than happy to help you out as well. John, take it away. What are we looking at here, my man? Let's get it rolling.
Well, so Scott, I'm going to actually reverse order for a second and go to
Sure.
the last item on the agenda, which is our little friend down here, Managerbot, down here in the bottom of your navigation center. And this is in full release at this point. It's no longer in beta. But I'm going to click in here and show you something that I think is really convenient, really interesting, is when you hit Managerbot, you get what they call the pulse screen. And this not only has ideas and suggestions, it really summarizes all of your business, the trends that are happening in different areas. Um, if you have multiple locations, it'll show that who your top customers are versus new and returning, top items, etc. So this is a really nice dashboard. But the call out here is it'll keep you honest when you're setting up and maintaining your items catalog. So in this case, you can see without my even requesting it, Managerbot is saying, hey, there's 9 items that are missing images, prices, or other details, right? So this will help you and help your prospects once they adopt Square keep up to date and make sure all their data is current. We've got slow moving stock alerts. Here's, again, another catalog warning that there's 48 items missing descriptions. If you're using e-commerce or online ordering, right, all of those descriptions help sell those products. Just want to do a quick call out. And then finally, there is a threads section up here. This is a more traditional Ask Managerbot anything. the more traditional AI type prompting and scripts. And you can see it saves your past uses and all that. You can re-ask, you can refresh. But what we'll talk about in a minute is you can do item level changes in your catalog. Managerbot can do company or location level changes. So let's say we're marking up all of our product prices by 4% to do a true cash discounting model. You could ask Managerbot to do that through your entire catalog in one sentence. So Managerbot is worth experimenting with. And I highly recommend you lean into it and ask your prospects to check it out as well. Having said that, I'm going to go back to my item and services blocks for today's topic, into items and into item library. I wanted to talk about too, I mentioned that Managerbot can do global price changes. Over here on each item, you can tap in the three dots and you can do a clone of an item for duplications, which is really handy. You can order more products. You can update the price, but you can also go over here and select multiples. And then you can go into these actions at the bottom and you could update the price in a nice, a convenient row form. But I point that out to you because if I go up here to items, notice I can't do that for more than 250 items at a time. And maybe you don't want to. Maybe you want Managerbot to do that for you. That's the whole intent. Managerbot is that AI assistant that can do all of these tasks that are normally repetitive and time consuming, but taking that off your plate. So this is our item catalog. As we talked about last week, there was a services library where you talk about jobs, links, durations, and all of that stuff. That was last week's boot camp, so I'll let you revisit that on the earlier recording. I just wanted to do a shout out that we're going to focus today mostly on item library. So without further, go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I was going to say, one of the things that I want to make sure that we point out to you, the sales agent, you're going to find week after week when you watch these sessions or when you join us live for these sessions, there's a lot of times where John and I, it may seem like, well, gosh, you guys said that last week. You guys keep repeating yourself. Yes, we do. And the reason why we do it is because repetition helps it to stick, okay? One of the key features that really makes Square a powerhouse for any one of your merchants, I don't care if it's a retail opportunity, if it's a quick service opportunity, I don't care if it's a landscaper, that Managerbot on the back end provides so much insight. It's a valuable tool that all of your merchants should be diving into. As John alluded to, updating pricing in real time, one fell swoop, let it take care of that? Absolutely. That's what Managerbot can do. The AI component built in on the back end absolutely gets the job done. John, go ahead. Take it away, my man. I didn't mean to.
No, I actually wanted to play off of that as long as we're talking about that. Somewhere in here. Oh, so I asked it about labor scheduling optimization back when we were doing our scheduling and our staff.
Correct. Yep.
And I want to just show you all what this did. So this is my question. I said, based on the scheduled staff for the week of 6/22, can you make any suggestions on how we might save on labor scheduling? And a little bit further down, it notices, the hours and all that of the staff, but it makes observations and suggestions. So in this case, reduce headcount on low revenue days, and it says which days those are. Eliminate and shorten Monday and Thursday shifts, stagger start times, shift Saturday coverage to Tuesday. So the interesting thing about this is it goes into your live system data, looks at your objective, and comes back with real, meaningful, and applicable suggestions. That's what makes this so exciting, Scott. This is not just a prompt that you're asking AI, what are the best techniques? This looks at your data to suggest better techniques.
Yes, exactly.
Right. That's what's so crazy about it.
So getting back to today's topic with items and services and inventory, things along these lines, friends, one of the things that I want you to always keep in mind with that Managerbot at the back end, think about it, how many times have your merchants, specifically retail or, possibly restaurant quick service, how many times have they had to run a report, and then they have to sit there and, manually go through line by line and do their own analytics. What's nice about this, with Managerbot on the back end, the query could be as simple as show me the items that have sold the least over the past 90 days, giving that merchant an opportunity to get visibility and go, well, probably a good possibility that I probably shouldn't order that again, or maybe I should mark down the price and move it to the front of my store, whatever the case may be. Take advantage of the AI components. John, go ahead and take it away, my man.
So Scott, I'm going to laugh and show this to you, right? Even in the ideas for Managerbot, it already
Right
said,
there.
hey, here's slow moving stock in these 9 items, right? So it's anticipating the things that you should care about before you even ask. And the other thing I just want to drive home to your point is there's a lot of nice reports in this portal, but if there's not the one you need, Managerbot can create it for
Create
you,
the report for you.
including graphics and charting. So again, I can't tell you enough. We're just scratching the surface on what it can do for us. So we've gone astray, Scott. Let's reel this back in and let's talk about some items today. We're going to get a little granular, as I warned you, but this is what we need to do to really wrap our heads around all the capabilities. Before I leave this item library list, I just want to draw your attention to the status, right? And notice we have some items that have a certain stock of availability and others just say available. We're going to talk about this when we address the inventory settings. Um, but on some of these, again, you can ask Managerbot. You could set a minimum threshold for a warning, but you could also ask Managerbot, go through my entire catalog and give me a list of those items that are fallen below my minimum stock suggestion and create a purchase order for me and separate those purchase orders by the vendor assigned. Think
Hey,
about the
John.
liquor stores, Scott, that go around with a clipboard and take a daily inventory when you can just ask Managerbot not only to tell you which ones, but break it up by the vendor that you buy them from.
Break it up by the vendor, break it out by pack size, break it out by whatever criteria. John, this is a great question. Sorry, they're firing at us already, my
Let's
man. So
go.
the question in the chat is Managerbot available on all Square plans, being free, plus, and premium?
That is a great question. I'm going to guarantee yes on the paid plans. Um, I'm going to also suggest that it's probably there on the free plan. I need to check with you. But as we've said before, right, always go back to square.com, go to the pricing tab, and scroll down. You'll see the 3 plans, and you'll also see all of the features which are enabled or not enabled by plan type, right? By free, by plus, by premium. It's also worth calling out a lot of the features we're talking about today are on all 3 plans. A lot of the ones that are sophisticated that we've talked about in past days when we've demonstrated these things are on paid plans only. But you can see that in those grids.
Yeah,
So let's
and
get to it, Scott. Go ahead.
yeah, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to go off camera for a little bit. I'm going to do the research so we can answer that question regarding Managerbot, making sure it's available on all 3 plans. Just to kind of tie into what John's saying with the paid plans, friends, I'm going to tell you right now, your best friend is that middle tier, that plus plan. We say it week after week after week. Make the time, go to that website that John just talked about, which is square.com. Look at their pricing plans. Look at all the features that are available in the plus plan at 49 bucks per month. It's a steal. John, take it away. Let me do some research on Managerbot.
We could ask Managerbot what it's available on, but we won't take up the time today.
We won't, but go ahead and take it away, my man.
A couple things before I leave the catalog. In my actions section, I can import and export this library, so I can do bulk changes, updates to prices, imports, and all that sort of thing. But we're not going to go there today. Let's go into create this item. And Scott, I'd like to bring you back for a second, if you don't mind. In our new item, notice we have an item type here up top. Well, if I pull this down, look at the numbers of different item types that are supported here, Scott. And I know we talked about this earlier.
Yep.
And one of our first boot camps, we talked about Square being a hybrid solution. right? That can really
Yes.
have tentacles into different business types, plans, structures. We've talked about services, we talked about items, but look at all these different item types.
Yeah.
You mentioned combos. I think that's cool. You need an app to do that on other systems. I won't name which one. Physical goods are retail, right? Retail products and all those sort of things. Look at this, events and ticketing.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. So a nice example of that for a hybrid situation is picture that local cantina, that restaurant down the street from your house. They got that nice full service bar. But on occasions in the back function room, they bring in live bands, they sell tickets in advance. Could you imagine that? Think about it this way. You've got your bartender who's sitting there slinging drinks and everything else, and somebody steps up and says, "Hey, that band that's going to be playing on Friday, I want to buy tickets for that." Now we're just going into that section, which is events, selling the tickets directly through Square. Like when John and I say repeatedly, week after week, that Square has tentacles, it does. This thing is quite possibly the workhorse when it comes to those hybrid environments. I promise you.
Yeah, no, it's cool. And Scott, to your point, you could even do a quick link in a QR or whatever that you could put on your social media pages, and they could link and buy tickets there. So lots of stuff. The other thing, we don't think about a lot, but digital sales, right? Agencies can do logos, they can do documentation, all that stuff. So where there's really not a physical thing being sold, but you're still charging for it. Donations. How many schools and local communities and football, cheer clubs and the fifth grade class, all of those can have their own pay links. We talked about that when we were doing invoicing. But let's move on here. So I'm just going to leave this as a food and beverage item. And I'm just going to let's just type a name. We're going to do a beet salad today. You can do a different kitchen name, either in a different language or, uh, you know, different characters. You can set a price. By the way, if you leave the price blank, it's a variable priced item, right? The clerk would be prompted to enter a price. In this case, our beet salad, let's say it's 8.95. But Scott, we talked about this over here as well. Notice it defaults to each, but I can have all sorts of custom units. So this may not apply, well, this could apply to a hybrid, like a deli where you're selling product by the pound or the fraction of a pound. But think about retailers, like lumber yards might sell, lumber by the foot. You could sell your services or labor by the hour. We talked about pounds, all sorts of candy stores and things that have, weight items. I think, Scott, you mentioned the salad bar that you load up your salad and you weigh it when you leave. But also think about like landscapers where they're selling mulch by the yard or by the ton. Um, Maybe even a marina that rents overnight slips by the number of feet length of the boat, right? This per unit pricing is really interesting. And the difference between this and the each is you can do fractional quantities. I can do 1.5 yards of mulch. I can do 2.5 tons of sand, right? All of that is built in here.
I'm glad that you're bringing this up, specifically the unit of measurement by the yard. Now, sales agent, what are the bigger mis, one of the bigger myths that John and I have been trying to break repeatedly, week after week after week, is, yes, all of us, we all grew up on Square. We all think of it as being, oh, it's that thing that you do on your phone and you plug in the little swiper and et cetera, et cetera. Such is not the case. So when we're bringing up stuff like measurement by the yard, a couple of weeks ago when John was sharing examples of these different hybrids to go after, this is what we were referring to. Going after that garden center that sells their mulch and everything else, not so much by the bag, but they're selling it by weight, by volume. Square can accommodate that. John, take it away.
Well, and playing it off, our hybrid thing, our services, right? The garden center might have consulting people. They might have field people that go out and plant your products, right? Where the scheduling components and the billing components would come in. So lots
And by
happening
the,
there.
by
The
the
other
way,
thing,
I was
but
going to say Gary didn't miss a beat or selling sandwiches by the foot. There we go.
All right. Well, you have to be careful with that because a couple of those companies got sued because they really weren't a foot long. So I would stick by the pound on that one. But
I would stick by the pound on that one. But good one, Gary. Thank you, brother.
so what I also want to do a call out, and we talked a lot about Managerbot spotting, missing descriptions and that type of thing. But check this out. This is where AI is built into Square. I can, type into this or click into this customer facing description. I can generate AI from this. So here's my keywords. I can do different formats. I can do an ingredient list or a descriptive sentence. Let me just continue on as this with this. Roasted beets are complemented by the creamy goat cheese and crunchy walnuts, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to insert that. And you don't need to be creative anymore to populate this out. And this is what shows on your e-commerce or online ordering page, right? This is what makes this so great and easy to deploy is they give you all of these built-in tools. Again, you can drag and drop an image of the product. We're going to talk about a neat hack in just a moment on how to do that. But before we go into manage inventory, I want to switch over to my iPad and share a couple examples with you. And let's just start a square here.
And John, while you're pulling that up for the benefit of everybody that's on the call right now, some of you may be watching us from your laptop or your tablet. Some of you may be driving and listening, but the question was asked a little bit earlier, is Managerbot available on all Square plans? To which I just put a response in the into the chat. Managerbot appears to be available regardless of which of the three Square plans that are available. So for the most part, Managerbot was launched probably within the past month or so. Maybe it's been about a month and a
It
half.
was last month that it went from beta to live. Yeah.
It went to beta to live. Thank you, John. But based upon the research that I just did, available on all three plans. So for the most part, we're not limiting it to like, oh, hey, sorry, you're on the free plan. You can't have it. All three plans, friends. There you go. Take it away, John.
Well, so I'm in my QSR page here, or my menu, or my mode, if you will. And before we leave this, because I'm going to switch to retail in just a second, but I want to call your attention to the New York strip steak that has a 10.37. That is a variable weight item. So if I tap New York strip, again, it prompts me for the pound. So this would be in a deli. Maybe I'm selling sliced ham, sliced cheeses, whatever. I can say, I have 1.57 pounds. And notice it does the extended math based on its price per pound. While we're here, I want to also mention when we define these items, like these deli items, if you have a scale that prints a price embedded barcode label. You've all seen them at the supermarket, right? They weigh your cheese and your ham, they slap a label on it, and then they go scan it up at the register. Square can handle that. And this is the same functionality, but the clerk does not have to enter the weight. The price and the weight are calculated based on what's embedded in that scale label. Super way of line busting and speeding up the checkout process. So just wanted to let you know that that capability exists. I'm going to go and remove the steak, and then I'm going to close this out. I'm going to show you another hack for you all giving demos. Number one, notice at the top of the screen next to the search bar, there's a little book. This allows you to tap and you can choose between all of your demo menus. So Scott mentioned that Matt gave us a couple demo templates for different verticals and businesses. You can switch between them. You can start defining more of your own. I'm going to leave this alone for the moment, and I'm going to go tap more in the bottom right-hand corner. And notice at the top is a mode. So we've talked about this before, but we're going to reread it. I'm going to pull it down. And these are all the different hybrid modes that Square supports. And you can mix them inside one facility. So you could have the merch shop running retail while the QSR does over the counter, while table service is out doing fine dine, all under the same location, same roof, different physical devices, which is really neat because many businesses, if not all of them today, are hybrid. So getting off that soapbox, I'm going to tap retail and tap done. And in a matter of seconds, I have been transformed over to my retail site. So I'm going to log in. And now you notice there's a whole new UI, whole different style layout. But here's what I want to show you. And and pardon me because silicone is already on the grid in front, but you can see I've got a little can of it right here. So this is the neat thing about Square. And you can do this on your phone once the Square app is installed. I'm going to do it on my iPad, which is going to simulate a POS. But I can tap the More option and go back to where we saw the mode at the top. But notice third down on the left is items. Here's that item library again, as if I could access it on the floor of my store. I'm going to tap the plus in the upper right-hand corner to create a new item. And notice up in the middle top, the gray square, there is no image sitting there. So I'm going to show you a neat hack. This is only available in the retail POS deployment. It doesn't work on the portal. So I'm going to take this little can and get the barcode off the back. And notice to the right of name, there's an auto create button. I'm going to tap that. And you're going to see my floor. And I'm going to try to find my barcode here. And look at that, Scott. Just like magic. Not only do I have an image, I have the name, the application, the size of the tube, the pack of the tube, all from the UPC code. Guys, think about hardware stores, hobby shops, liquor stores, vape stores, you name it. They could go down the shelf to shelf to shelf and not only get a high quality image, but the description, the name. And then we talked about this before. Let's go in here and, well, I guess I need to do it down here. Description, I'm going to generate my description with AI. I'll be concise with short length. Boom, there it is, insert. And let's drop my keyboard. So one scan, one click of AI. I'm going to go down a little bit further. The only other two things we need to do, and notice the SKU and the GTIN, which is the UPC, is already in there. I'm going to enter the price of this. This is $5.95. And I'm going to go down here. Where am I going? Somewhere in here's my categories. There's my categories. And I'm going to add this to my hardware category. Price, category, scan. It's that simple to add an item, price it, put it on the shelf. That's what's really, really cool about this retail instance of the scan and create item. Not available in food service and hospitality because they really don't have barcodes. So one last thing, I'm not going to save this because it is a duplicate of one I already have, but I also want to show you one other thing. And this is another cool hack, and I will have to go back into here and say Square Photo Studio. And there it is. This is an iOS only app. You can take a picture of your product. Again, think of products that don't have barcodes. We were talking about salons last week. Maybe you have your own line of candles or your own jams and jellies, things that aren't UPC barcoded. Take a picture. This app will strip it of the background so you can take a picture of it anywhere. And then you can also have AI apply background colors, textures, etc. And then you can send it directly to your item catalog. Right? Square Photo Studio. Remember that. Super hack.
I like the example that you shared because for some of these opportunities, whether they're local QSR, local retail store, there's always that person with the entrepreneurial spirit. They make their own jams, jellies, candles, things along those lines. But to your point, John, those don't always have barcodes onto them. What a great way for them to get that into inventory quickly.
Yep, exactly right. So I know we're keep burning through our time, so let's go back and keep an eye on this sold out status up here. It thinks we don't have any to sell, Scott. It won't allow us to sell it. So that is sort of our caveat into managing inventory in Square. Again, if you have multiple locations, they'll show here. You can set that initial stock quantity. You can set the quantity that'll give you an alert. But this is a salad, Scott. This is not a GE silicone caulking tube or whatever, which I do want to track quantities on, and I do want to have an alert when I get low. But for a salad, for hospitality, I want to track it by availability. So notice there, these three dots hide this. This tripped me up when I was first learning my demo system. But you can track by availability, and it'll be just available or sold out. So again, hospitality, it's either available or it's not. You mark it 86 when it's out. But for those items you want to track actual quantities, attach a vendor, you'll track by stock count. And you'll notice now it's back available up here in the status. So just a quick hack to get you all started there. Again, GTIN is a UPC code. It can be a book, it can be an ISBN number, right? So all of those are these scan codes. This is what we use to look up the barcode and bring in the pictures and the description. You can track cost in the plus plan. I don't believe cost is available in the free plan, but this will give you a true profit loss. You can also attach a specific vendor. We talked about this with Managerbot. So show me every item that's below my minimum threshold, produce a PO for each vendor, right? Really great solutions. Okay, we're gonna get into the weeds a little bit here on variations and modifiers. And this differs from one of my other fond POSs where we did everything inside of modifiers, including variations, because variations didn't work very well in a hospitality environment with that other POS. So what I want to tell you or want to show you is I'm going to actually give you a little quick summary here. So variations are depleting inventory. Think about small, medium, large. Again, different sizes of shirts, different colors of shirts. And what is unique about them? Well, each of those variations has their own SKU or barcode. They also are reporting in terms of sales and depletions. Modifiers are a little different, right? Modifiers can do variations or sub choices, and they could say you must pick 3 or you cannot pick more than 3. So again, just want to do a quick call out that we'll use variations anytime there's a price change because of a size, because of a color, because of a physical characteristic, and use modifiers to control messaging to the kitchen. And we'll go into all that. But again, this is our beet salad, so we're going to add a variation. Oh, I don't want to leave this site, do I? All right, it's doing a quick refresh. Variation, small and large, right? $8.95, $13.95. The modifiers, meat temperature on a burger, bun choice, no bread, cheese choice, extras, deletions, right? Leave off the walnuts because I have a nut allergy or whatever.
Yeah, so a variation, for the most part, based upon everything that you've shared, variation will almost invariably always tie into inventory. Here's a t-shirt, small, medium, large, small blue, small green, small red. Like the variations tie into individualism versus modifiers, which is pretty much how do you want it?
Well, so to give you an example, in the past we used to use modifiers for small and large, and the large would add a $2, for example.
Yep.
But in the reporting side of things, I don't see how many large and how many small did I actually sell. I only see how many of the item I sold and what the price that was charged. So you lose the insights into your data.
Yep.
I think that's where variations come in. So again, it finally managed to refresh, and it's probably because our video feed here, but let's just do a small salad, and this will be our $8.95, and we'll do a large, and this will be $13.95. Again, notice we're set to available here, so I'm I'm going to set this from a quantity back to available for hospitality. But if you had multiple items, each of those different variations could have their own SKU, their own UPC code, their different cost, and even different vendors. So I'm just going to click done here, and it's going to refresh back to our page for our salad. Open, there they are. And remember, again, the inventory is these three dots. So small is already set as available only. I'm going to change the tracking to track by availability, so it's always available as well. There's our two sizes. There are two size prices. Modifiers, you all know about these. I won't spend a lot of time, but I've got modifier groups already defined. In this case, I'm going to go down to my Caesar salad premium add-ons and my house salad dressing choices. Again, these groups are predefined. I'll show you those in a moment. All of a sudden, those are available in my modifier groups. But check this out, Scott. If I actually go into it, or I'm actually going to go back to those modifier groups in a second, but notice I can actually rearrange the order which these modifier groups will show on the POS. So that's a neat function. Custom attributes, I think, is unique and worth touching on briefly. Like your different units of sale, you can create these custom attributes. So think about a consignment shop that wants to attach a consigner name to this item. Really, the sky's the limits as far as what attributes you can assign to a sales item. So I think that's really interesting and worth checking out. Let me see what else. This kind of relates to variations and modifiers, but when this is enabled, right, the first variation with any pre-selected modifiers will go right into the order, right? So if you have a sandwich that always comes with lettuce, tomato, onion on a sesame seed roll, boom, one touch, it's there. It doesn't mean you can't go back to the modifiers and say, I want it in a wrap, or I want to leave onions off. But that would be an adjustment. So you speed your ordering flow without holding up, except, Scott, if you don't want onions, I can still tap it and still remove onions. So this is a really neat function to skip that detail screen right out of the gate. I'm going to come back to pre-orders, but think about, again, holiday and special event items that are date specific, but I'm going to show you an actual example of that. Fulfillment is a little interesting. We all know this from online ordering, but if I'm ordering online and I want it ASAP, what's the first time I can pick it up, right? Is there a 20-minute prep time? Is it a 30-minute prep time? That's where this fulfillment comes in. The fulfillment methods are also worth doing a shout out. And they may look familiar, but let's put aside hospitality for a minute and think about the retail shop that we were in a moment ago. For pickup or local delivery or even shipping, I can take an order for that silicone adhesive we talked about earlier. And Scott, you could say, can you ship it to me? I live 3 towns over or next state over or whatever. I can click the fulfillment method as shipping. A little item will come up on my POS to ask me what is the shipping address that you want this to go to. And when I save that, in my orders screen of my portal, it'll show items to be shipped. So the rest of my staff know that they need to package this and box it and get it to Scott. So fulfillment, in my opinion, really is more on the retail side of things. On the hospitality side of things, it's more like on demand, right? Ordering online is, do I want it ASAP? Do I want it 6 p.m. tonight? Right? A little bit different in the hospitality. Yeah. Just doing call out there. Again, shipping boxes is again about simplifying your pricing for boxing and shipping up calculated amounts. The other thing I just want to point out, this contains alcohol. Square can deliver alcohol using DoorDash only, not Uber Eats, not Grubhub. So this is not only a flag to card when the sale's being made at the POS, this is a flag that would redirect a delivery order to DoorDash exclusively because it contains alcohol. I'm going to go back up to the top again because there's a second column here. Like we did with retail, I'm just going to assign this to the salads category. Um, what menus? So you saw I had a bunch of different menus, right? So in Burger Palace, I'm going to click here and I'm going to assign this to the salads category there. I'm going to go back and in my dinner menu, I'm going to put that into the salads category. So I have different menus for different places in the organization, or these menus also can be showing online. So you can assign this item into the menus, into the categories. Categories are for reporting. Menus are for POS organization. We're doing menus next week. I also want to point out here, if you have multiple locations, I don't happen to, but if you had multiples, you could assign this item into which location. Doesn't have to be all. And similarly, channels are customer facing um, organizations, right? So point of sale, this salad is available on point of sale, but I also want it to go to the Burger Palace online ordering site, and I want the Grill and Go site. I don't want it to my fish or my swim lessons site. So I control not only which locations this can be sold at, but which online presence can sell it. I'm not going to save this because this is a duplicate of what I already have. So I'm going to go out of this and discard. But what I want to show you is a couple things. Um, holiday pre-order. I have this Thanksgiving dinner, and it looks like a regular item. But watch this. If I go down here to my pre-order section, which is here, and edit, Scott, this is really cool. Look at these pre-order settings. I'm going to set my fulfillment window for my Thanksgiving dinner to a single date. This is the date before Thanksgiving this year. It could be a date range. Maybe holiday catering trays are available for the week before Christmas. The Thanksgiving dinner is only available for pickup the day before Thanksgiving, and they can only pick it up between 9:30 and 2:30 because we close early. And more importantly, I can only order this up through the 20th of November because that's the Friday before. And I, the merchant, need to order all of the components to make sure they arrive and can be prepped before you pick it up the following Wednesday. This is a game changer for future orders for caterers or restaurants that do that. Think about Valentine's pre-orders, Mother's Day, Father's Day, 4th of July, you name it. You can control the order window, the pickup window, and that time of fulfillment. Scott, you were.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't want to muddy the water on that one, but thinking about pre-orders, like I'm thinking back to that mode where it was events. You know what I
So
mean? So,
events, you could have events like that band in back. You could have a kitchen class in the kitchen where you have
yep.
actually a class of people training them on how to do this. You can like have sell future sales of items that doesn't muddy the water of your regular transactions,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I
It
was just
controls the behavior. So this is all really, really interesting stuff, in my opinion, coming
yeah.
from
Well,
a restaurant background.
I'm just thinking as far as the pre-order goes with the tickets is if you stop and think about the loyalty that's built into Square, if they take advantage of the loyalty program, uh, pre-order tickets for an event that's coming up, but the merchant is only sending out those links to their loyalty customers. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Get to hey, you get first pick. If you want to go to this event, here's the link. Buy your tickets for the event. The general public is going to be able to buy them online on our website on this date. Lots of different ways to
Right.
utilize this, friends. Go ahead, John.
So I just wanted to touch on combos because most other POSs don't do it well, or you need an extra app to do it. So I just created this burger combo at $14.99. The burger normally sells for $12.99, and if I go into the combo down here, look at it includes the burger, it includes a bottle of water, and it includes a bag of potato chips. So again, here's a combo that I don't have any choices on. But if I go and look at this lunch combo, here it's a little bit different, right? If I go down, I can see I now have 4 sandwiches that fall into the lunch combo choice, right? Which sandwich is your preference? You can then choose your beverage, but the potato chips are included. So again, combos can be structured as just a bundle, or they can actually have
Provide
choices.
options.
And in this case, my beverage choice includes beer, and beer adds an extra couple dollars over, a soda. So lots of neat controls. Again, how businesses work today. Super, super cool stuff. All right, what have we forgotten, Sky? We've covered a lot. I
The
just
only
want to
thing
say
I see,
combos are hospitality, packages are services. So a package of classes, for example, um, happens in the service side of things. The combo lives in the product and hospitality stuff.
all right, John, why don't I throw this at you really quick? I'm going to ask you to define the difference between these two, and then we're
Mhm.
going to break and we'll take questions from our audience. John, define the difference between a location and a channel when it comes to Square.
Yeah, we touched on this a bit. This is in each item and it's below the menu section. So locations and channels. So I might have 4 locations and they might all have the same menu. So every item might be for all four locations. But I might have 2 locations, which is a different burger concept from the other 2 locations, which might be, an Italian theme, or if you will. So I may not assign certain items to one set of locations, but I may assign them to the other set of locations. So locations are the physical bricks and mortar locations that this particular item lives in. Channels are customer facing, what would you call them? Uh, the online ordering, right?
Yep.
So again, just like these certain items might not belong on every online ordering page, they might just belong on the Italian concept online ordering page. The burger joint might have a different number of options. So again, this is online ordering, customer facing. It also includes the POS, right, of showing there, and it also can be like kiosk and QR code ordering. Again, are customer facing.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, location, physical brick and mortar, channel is pretty much where does the payment get facilitated?
Well, no, could be either, but channels again. Think online ordering or web page,
Yep.
which is augmenting a brick and mortar. But you might have one website for both of your Italian concepts and one
Got it.
website for both of your burger joints. 2 locations, both locations will show single website though.
Got it.
And
Okay.
by the way, we know that Plus and Premium come with up to 10 websites. So lots, you could have a catering website, you could have, your holiday menus on there, you could have your physicals, you could have your events and classes. So lots of flexibility.
Excellent. All right, my man. I see that we've got 6 minutes left. You know what that means, John?
I
Boom.
think we've covered a lot, and I think we could turn it over to questions if people
Yeah,
have
we'll
those. And
turn it over to questions and to the marketing team. If you want to stop the recording right now, go ahead and go for it. We'll talk to you